Tonight on the Donlon Report, get ready for the most expensive Thanksgiving ever. Higher prices hitting all of us in our everyday lives. So what about the holiday that's coming up? Wait till you hear these numbers we have for you. Plus, last year's heroes, now this year's unemployed. First responders and other frontline workers continue to lose their jobs over vaccine mandates. Despite that, we do have some positive news on the COVID front. We'll get to that. And the doctor is in. Dr. Amesh Adalja, that's coming up as well. And more disturbing revelations tonight from the production of Alec Baldwin's movie Rust. A veteran prop master turned down the job on the film because of what he called red flags. Could criminal charges be coming? The Donlon Report starts right now. So Thanksgiving is the quintessential American holiday. Pretty much everyone celebrates it and pretty much everyone eats turkey. But this year we will have to pay more than ever. And that is the pulse of America tonight. The price of your average 8 to 16 pound turkey is 22% higher this year compared to last year. In fact, everything you serve, from the trimmings to even the wine, is more expensive. And it does add up. A 3-pound bag of potatoes up 13% compared to last year. A 2-pound bag of carrots, 47% more expensive. Beef up 12%, bacon 17%, and wine up 5%. So how does not only the average family, but the family that's struggling to put food on the table to begin with, keep up with all of this? Will we have a happy Thanksgiving? Here's more for you. Dinner rolls cost more because the cost of nearly every ingredient bakers use has gone up. Canned cranberries will cost more because China is limiting steel production and domestic steel plants have not caught up. Like I said, everything, including the disposable aluminum cooking pan you use for your turkey or even the pumpkin pie there, is more expensive. That's to say nothing of the pumpkin filling itself, which is why some are saying this could be the most expensive meal in the history of the holiday. And that's where we begin tonight. Barbara Eastman and John Wipperfurth. Barbara is the owner of Happy Foods grocery stores in Chicago, and John is the grocery manager. It's great to have you both on the front lines there in the produce section and the frozen food section as well to give us an idea of what's happening. Barbara, let's start with you. How much have you had to raise prices already?
Well, it's been going up every time we get orders in, multiple times across the last few months.
On what items, Barbara, primarily?
Mostly in the grocery, the dry goods, and then especially the meat, the beef, and the poultry, the chicken, pork. All of that's gone up. Let's see what else has gone up, John.
A lot of oil products, and wheat. So spaghetti has gone up. A lot of pasta.
John,
So basically, it's your staple items.
Yeah, should we buy our turkeys now, Barbara? Is that the idea? I mean, sooner the better on all of these things.
I'd say you should place your orders. This store specifically, we have a lot of fresh turkey orders. What's good about that is that they're grown in Illinois, so the production is here and the distribution is here. So the fresh turkeys, we take the orders and then people pick them up. The frozen ones, yes, order soon because we don't know what's going to come in.
John, what kind of problems have you been having with the supply chain issues? What items are you having trouble getting in stock? And what are companies doing to make up for what they're having problems with as far as providing these items?
Well, it's pretty much all over the board, here and there. Right now, canned fruit is a little hard to find. Paper is getting a little tight again, towels and toilet paper. And water. And it's mainly the containers that
they come in?
Like plastic bottles.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, plastic bottles.
We're seeing that as well, Barbara, with wine, are we not?
The bottles are on the containers?
Yeah.
Yes. Right now, we do have enough wine for the holiday, but it's afterwards.
All right. So what are you suggesting as far as people looking to cut corners maybe? Otherwise, let's say they splurge on the turkey. Is this an issue with everything? Dinner rolls, cranberry sauce, stuffing. Is everything going to be more expensive?
Everything has been going up. So, I mean, I don't know what more increases will be coming through, but the prices have already been reflected as going up.
All right, Barbara Eastman and John Wipperfurth of Happy Foods grocery stores in Chicago. Thank you both for your time. Good luck as we approach the holidays. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
For more on what this holiday could cost us, UBS financial advisor Tracy Byrnes joins us now. Tracy, also a mother of 3. And Tracy, I know you like to have big holiday meals. What's on the table this year? Is it going to be chicken instead of turkey?
Yeah, well, the good news is we're Italian, so we eat everything but the turkey, so I'm okay with it. I think the better news is that we're getting together this year. We have to keep that in mind. This time last year we weren't. And so when you can't compare this year's orders to last year's because there just were none. I ate alone with my 3 kids last year. I'm thrilled to be sitting with my family, and I could care less what's at the table. I think the American consumer needs to get very creative and think out of the box. Maybe it's a potluck. Maybe everyone brings things. Maybe you skip the turkey this year in lieu of the fact that you're all together. But I think we as the consumer still have the power here, and we have to flex a little muscle.
Right. That's a great point, Tracy. And I think for people looking to find a way around it, though, they might literally have to have less on the table this year as a result.
Look, I made mussels and pasta last year for my kids because we vetoed the bird. But I think, again, you have to think about your family. You don't need the turkey to have a happy Thanksgiving. Think about what works for your budget. Look, we saved money. A lot of people were able to save money during the pandemic.
Right.
A lot of people had a really tough time. But if you were able to save all this money, why are you blowing it on a turkey? Save it for something that means more to your family. So let's think practically and logically, and again, flex our consumer muscle a little bit.
Right. Well, I guess there are other ways we can get around this. We talked about this in our meeting today. You can eat spaghetti instead of steak if you have to. But this meal is another example of, I guess, how you can look past other things that are getting more expensive and find different ways and use that consumer spending power. I did want to ask you about that, though, Tracy, because there's also said to be not many bargains to be had this holiday season as a result of what we're seeing here, short supply and high demand.
Right, and you're not going to get discounts, and you're not going to get all those fabulous coupons and things like that. But again, you don't have to fall victim to this, right? It's really hard with little kids. I get it, and there's always that hot item that's in short supply every year regardless. But it's just as easy to give an IOU at Christmas and say, you know what, I'm going to buy you these whatever sneakers in a couple months when the prices are normal, and I can get 2 for the price of 1 as opposed to just spending all my savings on 1 pair. Or we're going to do something experiential together. And we have to, again, get creative. We don't have to fall victim to these high prices because this supply chain crisis will come to an end.
Yeah, and we talk about it being Thanksgiving, Tracy, but the fact is there are a lot of people who are struggling to put food on the table every night, and it's a reflection of what we're seeing in grocery stores nationwide right now with these higher prices.
Absolutely. And look, and they're the ones that get hit the hardest. Our lower and middle income families get hit the hardest no matter what. When we raise taxes, when inflation goes up, they're the ones that feel it the most. And so with that, it's our duty then as Americans to help each other during this holiday. Again, it's not about the bird. It's about the fact that we can all be together, that we're healthy finally, that we're being vaccinated and we can get out and do things. And so why not give a little to a family that needs it as opposed to overpaying for stuffing and canned cranberries.
Yeah. Even if it's cold cuts, let's not forget the meaning of the holiday. It's a great point, Tracy. Let's get just a quick forecast from you as far as moving forward, because these are issues we haven't seen in a while with inflation, higher prices, wages not keeping up. What do you foresee short term, and then I guess even a little bit longer term?
Yeah, so we still think this last quarter of the year is going to be okay. Earnings season's turning out to be pretty good. I do think, though, we have to anticipate inflation and this supply chain moving into 2022. It's going to be hard to get stuff. Prices are going to be higher for a while. We need to get people back to work, women in particularly. So there's still things that this economy needs to work through before we're off to the races, but once we get there, 2022 could be a really good year for us.
All right, we'll look forward to that. Tracy Byrnes, UBS financial advisor, thanks again. And I'm guessing maybe lasagna. That's another alternative for you on Thanksgiving, huh?
It is a tradition in my house.
Okay.
Forget the bird. It's my mother's lasagna all day.
All right, love it. Tracy, good to see you. Thank you. All right, coming up now, vaccinating your kids. An FDA advisory panel today recommending a low-dose Pfizer vaccine for kids ages 5 to 11. This as the number of daily COVID cases plunging 57% since a peak on September 1st. Cases falling in every region of the country, too, so lots of good news with models predicting another 20% fall in coming weeks. Dr. Amesh Adalja of Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security joins us now. Let's revisit the Thanksgiving theme if we can, Doctor. Uncle Frank wants to come over for Thanksgiving. He's not vaccinated. Everyone else is. What do you suggest?
If you're unvaccinated, I think it's really going to be a dangerous proposition to be gathering indoors with people. The more unvaccinated people that are together in an indoor high-risk setting, the more likely COVID-19 is going to disrupt those activities. So for people who are not vaccinated, there's still enough time before Thanksgiving to get fully vaccinated and to not allow COVID-19 to ruin your holiday.
This is something I don't get, Doctor, because I understand that part of it. But we talked last week about how we've been in airports and 2 million people are passing through TSA every day, and no one knows who's vaccinated or who isn't. How do we reconcile the differences in this?
Well, you have to remember, at the airport, you're required to wear a mask. There are certain mitigation measures that are in place. At Thanksgiving dinner, no one is going to be wearing a mask, especially when they're eating. So I think that the risk may be different in that situation because we know that masks, especially for unvaccinated people, prevent transmission. And I think that's why we've been okay in certain mass gathering sites like airports. But when people gather together on Thanksgiving and someone is unvaccinated, they're not going to be wearing a mask. They're going to be drinking. They're going to be laughing. They're going to be talking. They're going to be hugging. They're going to be kissing. That's very high risk. So that's where I think you really want to get people vaccinated, or at least have some people with immunity, or alter it. Maybe have it outside if you're in a place where you can have it outside. Open windows. There's things to do to make it safer. Have people get tested, especially the unvaccinated. There's ways to reduce the harm, but the best way to make Thanksgiving safe is to be vaccinated.
This does go also to another point, Doctor, that people have brought up on Twitter, social media, and elsewhere, and that is the restaurant scenario where you have to wear a mask for 30 seconds as you walk in, and then you sit down and take it off for an hour while you eat, and then you put it back on for 30 seconds when you leave. Again, in a restaurant, you don't know who is and who isn't vaccinated.
Right. So in those situations, I think that the mask is probably doing little because people are going to be taking their masks off to eat. And that's why in certain situations for unvaccinated individuals, indoor dining can be high risk. Remember that there's no activity that's going to have a zero COVID risk. Our goal is really to mitigate that risk by using something that's really effective, the vaccine. So any activity you do, there's going to be some level of COVID risk because the virus isn't going anywhere. It's endemic. It's going to be something that is with us 10 years from now. The goal is to make it more like our manageable respiratory viruses we deal with year in and year out. And the best way to do that is teach people how to make good choices and get people vaccinated so that when they do get a breakthrough infection, that it's something that's mild, something that doesn't require medical attention. And that's been the goal of this whole public health campaign from the very beginning, is to tame this virus.
We are getting some good news, Doctor, on the COVID numbers. FDA also endorsing Pfizer's vaccine for children 5 through 11. What does that mean long term? What do you think that sets up? Do you see a number of kids getting this, assuming a lot of them do? What will that mean to the numbers overall long term?
Overall, it's going to make the job of the virus harder because the more of the population that's vaccinated, the more immunity in the population, the harder the virus is going to work to be able to find new people to infect. Right. So this is going to be good. And this is going to increase the resiliency of schools and children's activities because the more people that are vaccinated, the more likely they're going to be able to withstand COVID-19. Right. In terms of having quarantines and isolation, this is a way for children to get their lives back. Even if not all of them get it, the proportion that do, sure, it's going to make a difference.
We're seeing these protests as well, Doctor, especially from first responders about the mandates. Just yesterday, we saw more of them. But as we mentioned, cases are down. Are we getting to a point, do you think, especially once these kids 5 through 11 get on board here, where the mandates may not be as necessary?
Well, I think if you're a healthcare worker, if you're a first responder, I do think it should be a professional obligation that you're vaccinated, especially when you're tasked with public safety. You should not be endangering people because you're not vaccinated. I do think that the mandates are something that's going to be temporary as this gets more controlled, as we get more population immunity, as we don't worry about hospitals getting crushed by this virus. There's going to be sort of a normalization of dealing with COVID-19, and maybe some of this will fade away. I do think eventually, though, you're going to see COVID vaccination become a routine vaccine, just like you give adults the flu shot, the pneumonia shot, or you give children measles, mumps, and rubella. COVID-19 is going to be part of that routine immunization schedule that we use. Well, we all look forward to that. Dr. Amesh Adalja of Johns Hopkins University, I know you arranged your schedule for us tonight. We appreciate that. Take care. Thanks for the insight. Thank you. Check out these pair of sneakers here, worn by none other than His Airness Michael Jordan. The shoes Jordan wore during his rookie season sold for more than $1.4 million, setting a new record for the most expensive game-worn footwear. But one NBA player calling out Nike for doing business in China. Is anyone going to stop buying their shoes as a result? And is Nike the real hypocrite here? That's our dinner table debate coming up, and more troubling revelations tonight from the production of Alec Baldwin's movie Rust. A veteran propster
A prop master turned down the job on the film because of what he called, quote, red flags. More on that ahead. And don't forget to follow us on social media at the Donlon Report on Twitter. New information tonight on the deadly shooting on the set of the Alec Baldwin film Rust. Tonight, the Santa Fe County District Attorney telling the New York Times her team has not ruled out criminal charges. The New York Times reporting ammunition was found in a fanny pack on set, as well as loose and in boxes. That's according to court documents they obtained in Santa Fe County. The court documents don't specify if that ammo, though, included blanks, dummies, or real bullets. Meantime, this morning, a veteran prop master told the Today Show he turned down a job on the film over potential red flags, including the producers combined the positions of assistant prop master and armorer into one job on that film. I want to bring in now theatrical firearms safety expert Steve Wolf and attorney Jeff Harris. Jeff has been actually the lead attorney in two high-profile trials involving accidental deaths on television and film sets. Steve, let's start with you. We talked last week about this, and we've learned an awful lot since then. But as that prop master said, this thing was an accident waiting to happen, it sounds like.
Absolutely. If you cut corners, if you try to combine roles, if you've got a set where there's 20 plus firearms on set at one time, that is one person's job. That might even be two people's job alone, let alone messing around with all the rest of the props. That prop master was absolutely right to turn down that job. There should be an armorer and an armorer's assistant to handle that many firearms and make sure that the safety protocols aren't compromised.
Jeff, our first chance to get to chat with you on this, but it seems like there's plenty of liability to go around. And now we have the DA in Santa Fe County saying that she's not ruling out criminal charges, not against anyone in particular, but just the idea of it.
Yeah, I mean, we've got three things going on here. You've got a potential criminal case, which the DA's office is looking at, which is probably going to revolve around whether someone was criminally negligent. You've got the regulatory authorities looking into whether or not this set was so poorly run that it created a safety hazard, a workplace safety hazard. And then if the family chooses to, then there's the possibility for civil liability, which is typically grounded in negligence. And the question there is, were the people on the scene, on the set, working in such a way that they were acting reasonably? That's the question. And, you know, from everything that I've seen, this was a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, Steve, the other thing we've learned since we last talked was this talk of the ammunition that was found there on the set, including what appeared to be, obviously at some point, live ammunition, and reports that crew members were target shooting during their downtime. How unusual is it to even have live ammo on a set like this?
I think one of the things that we're going to have to determine is a physical distinction between what's the set and what's not the set. What is on set should not have live ammo. But if we decided, you know what, once you're 100 yards from here, you're not on the set, you know, you do what you want. If people want to engage in the recreational use of firearms during their downtime, I got no issue with that. When you bring live ammo back on the set, though, then I believe that you're violating some pretty serious protocols that have been put in place to assure safety. And I'll team up with you on this one, Jeff. You know, as your expert witnesses, if you want to take either the, you know, any of the civil issues on this, this is not a negligence case. This is a gross negligence case. And I believe that it was criminally reckless, the behavior of numerous people, that the armorer who was responsible for the safety of the people was not present, that the assistant director who had no business touching the guns is picking up the guns and declaring them cold or clear, you know, without even looking at them, that people had used those guns with live ammo previously. Just so many mistakes. This was not a prop gun accident. This was a live gun shooting. You know, in a real gun, you know, you can put real ammo in there and it goes in fine. The guns that are designed to be used on set, or existing guns that are modified to be used on set, those are prop guns. And if you try to put live ammo in them, nothing happens. You can't get it in there because it's been designed to preclude that mistake by poor handling. Right. And then you take a gun that has not been properly modified to render it safe. You take it in your hands and you point at someone and you press the trigger. well, don't be surprised if you get a hole in them, because that's exactly what that equipment was designed to do.
Jeff, you've been part of cases, as we mentioned here. The producers say they're going to shut down production, but vow to finish the film. In a statement, the company said, as we go through this crisis, we've made the decision to wrap the set at least until the investigations are complete. Although our hearts are broken and it is hard to see beyond the horizon, this is at the moment a pause rather than an end. The spirit that brought us all to this special place remains. Should they shut down or should they continue, Jeff?
They should shut down, and I will be shocked if this movie ever gets made. They have to say things like that. They've got investors that have invested in this project that are probably wondering what's going to happen to their investment. They've got insurance companies that are looking into this. I mean, this is going to be litigation for years, and I will be blown away if they actually make this movie, and I don't think they should. Out of respect for the family, I think they need to shut this thing down forever. And as an industry, everyone needs to learn from this. The one thing I'll say, and I think your guests will agree with me, there are policies that have been in place in movies for years about how to handle firearms on a set. There are hundreds of productions that use firearms every day in this country on a set. They're not complicated. They're very straightforward. It's not rocket science. And these policies were just completely ignored on this set. So I've heard some people saying that, well, we need to ban firearms from all productions in the future. I don't think we have to go that far. I think we simply have to follow the policies that are in place and do it every time, every day, on every set, so that this never happens again.
Right. Great insight.
I agree with Jeff. Jeff, the only way that, a petition with 27,000 signatures is going to make anyone safer is if you put that petition in front of you and there's people handling guns on set.
All right, Steve Wolf and Jeff Harris, great insight from both of you who are in the industry and in this business and have a lot of experience with it. We thank you both for coming by.
Thank you so much.
Coming up in our next half hour, the Donlon Report talks with a retired FBI agent with experience consulting on Hollywood films about who he thinks shares responsibility, at least in part, in that shooting. So more on that ahead for us as we continue. Meantime, an international drug bust leads to 150 arrests across nearly a dozen countries in what seems like something out of a James Bond movie. I'll ask that former FBI agent about how you pull that off ahead. And an NBA player calls out Nike for doing business in China and supporting what he calls slave labor. Where is Nike on this, and is anyone going to stop buying their shoes? That's our dinner table debate ahead.
Nike likes to say, just do it. Well, what are you doing about the slave labor that makes your shoes?
Texas Governor Greg Abbott has signed a bill requiring transgender athletes to participate in school sports based on the gender they're assigned at birth. Joining me now, NewsNation's Markie Martin. And Markie, there has been a lot of strong reaction to this.
Yeah, there really has, Joe. Texas now joins at least 5 other states that have implemented similar measures here just in recent months, telling transgender student athletes which team they belong to. So here in Texas, it is now law that transgender athletes must play on sports teams that align with the gender given on their birth certificate. And you're right, Governor Greg Abbott just putting pen to paper on this yesterday, saying he's protecting the integrity of athletics, particularly female sports. That's what's really being hotly debated here. And as you can imagine, Joe, this is receiving fierce backlash from Democrats, from LGBTQ advocates, saying that this law, the language within it, is harmful. And today we spoke with a transgender man who shared his thoughts on the matter.
The issue is that I see is they don't want transgender girls playing with girls, but then they don't want transgender boys playing with girls either. And so essentially, these bills are just saying that trans people don't belong in sports, which is not the case at all. We celebrate diversity in athletes all the time.
Now, supporters of this law say that this law is necessary to protect girls' teams from transgendered players who might be bigger, faster, and stronger. And Joe, this law will take effect here in Texas come January. Joe.
All right, Markie Martin, thank you for the update live tonight in Texas for us. We want to take this topic on as part of our Donlon Report dinner debate tonight with Republican National Committee spokesman Paris Dennard and former Democratic Congressional Press Secretary Rochelle Ritchie. Rochelle, we'll start with you. Do we need a law on this?
Well, look, when I think about this, it's very hard to not really look at the science behind it. I mean, it is true that there are different genetic makeups of men and women. So I'm not sure if there's necessarily a need for a law on this, but I do think that maybe the discussion needs to go a little bit further than what we're seeing. It's such a sensitive area, but one thing I cannot ignore is I cannot ignore science and I cannot ignore genetics.
Paris, clearly more of a red issue than blue.
I think the issue at hand is the role of parents and the role of parents being more involved in their child's education and not having indoctrination and things of that nature. There are big issues that going on in this country. I think that there are particular issues of public safety, public issues of the rising crime and things of that nature that a lot of parents are focused on. But this issue is one that is important, but I think parents want to be more engaged on it. I think that parents don't want to have bureaucrats dictating all of these things that relate to their children and especially when it comes to sports and athletics.
All right, we got a couple other issues I want to get you on, so I want to move on now to Enes Kanter, who plays for the Boston Celtics, basically torching Nike for staying silent on what he called slave labor in China. Here's a bit of what he had to say.
Nike remains vocal about injustice here in America. But when it comes to China, Nike remains silent. Nike likes to say, just do it. Well, what are you doing about the slave labor that makes your shoes? Stop with hypocrisy. Stop the modern day slavery now.
So, Rochelle, let's start with you. I know Nike has been very quick and all in on athletes who take a stand on important social justice issues, Colin Kaepernick among them. Does Kanter have a point here that they're being silent on this situation in China?
No, I think what this says is this is complete ignorance to me. It's very interesting to me that he's able to attack Nike and not understand that in America, in this country, 42% of our U.S. imports are coming from China. So if you want to be mad at Nike, you might as well be mad at Apple. You might as well be mad at probably the dress that I'm wearing right now. You might as well be mad at the house that you are living in right now because of infrastructure and different materials that are coming from China. So it's completely ignorant to just attack Nike on this. And I would be curious as to where he stood when it came to female athletes having equal pay. Where did he stand on the gender pay gap that Serena and Venus Williams talked about, or when Allison Felix had to actually sue Nike because they were not paying pregnant women what they were owed? Where was he on those issues? And I would be very happy when China and all these other countries are expecting us as Americans to come in and wave a flag for them. When are they going to start waving a flag for the issues that we are facing right here in America?
Paris, China's taken a very hardline stand on this. And let's be real here. Nike needs China. I think you could probably argue that the NBA needs China as well. Certainly, I wouldn't think as much as Nike, but a lot of people, it sounds to me like, are trying to walk the tightrope here.
I don't think the athlete is ignorant. I think he made a very good point. And I think that it comes to accountability. I think he wants to hold Nike accountable because he plays in the NBA and there's a lot of Nike endorsements that are there. But I think the American government needs to hold China accountable when it comes to their horrendous abuses, when it comes to human rights, the climate, and everything else. We have an administration right now led by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris that refuses to hold China accountable for things like COVID-19. Still slow walking that investigation, really going after them the way that they should. And so there's a whole host of questions that I think the American people have when you look at world leaders try to cost, blame, and chastise the American people when you look at what China is doing on a regular basis on issues like human trafficking and slave labor and what they're doing to destroy the climate. And so I think it's a fair conversation to have. We need to hold all of these companies accountable for what they're doing. And this is also the reason why we need to have more companies coming back to this country and having manufacturing in the United States that aren't dependent upon places like China and others that have tremendous human rights abuses. But at the end of the day, we should hold Nike responsible for the things that they do if you're a shareholder, if you're a player in the NBA. But ultimately, every American should look at our government led by Democrats and say, what are you doing to hold China accountable for all the atrocities that we all see that they do on a regular basis?
Joe, I want to make it very clear that while COVID-19 did originate from Wuhan, China, it should be also noted that the previous administration could have also done something about COVID-19 coming into this country when they knew that it was a threat.
We had Operation Warp Speed and have 3 vaccines for it. So I think the Trump administration did their fair share.
Donald Trump ignored it.
But when you look at what the Biden-Harris administration has done in terms of playing into COVID,
the Biden-Harris administration is cleaning up the mess of the Trump administration when it comes to COVID-19.
They're not cleaning up any mess.
They are, because they're actually trying to implement federal mandates and actually trying to implement federal mandates to ensure that people are vaccinated in this country.
And federal mandates are unconstitutional. The RNC has already committed to suing them for the fact that they are unconstitutional.
Again, federal mandates, meaning that the states have an opportunity to choose whether or not those mandates are actually implemented. But there are federal mandates.
This is why Joe Biden's poll numbers are tanking, because, especially with the black community, by double digits, because they view
Trump's
these
poll numbers were 38% compared to his 44%.
You know what? Here, this is funny. You can focus on Donald Trump all you want to, but right now, the president of the United States is Joe Biden, and he's failing the American people. He's failing the black community. He's not holding China responsible. So you can focus on Trump all you want to, but I'm going to focus on the people who are failing the country right now, and that's the Democrats who are in power.
Yes, we should always focus on everyone that has failed this country, previous and current.
Let me jump in on that, because President Biden is expected to go speak tonight at a rally for Terry McAuliffe. Is there a situation where you don't want the president there, as President Trump ran into in Georgia when he was going down to stump for senators after he lost his election? Is there a liability in having President Biden speak tonight, or do you want him there either way?
Well, look, I think it's very hard for McAuliffe to have him there. I mean, people are not happy, as Paris mentioned. People are not happy with Biden at all. I am not happy with the Biden administration, but I also don't ignore facts. I think that it's very difficult to have him there, considering everything that we've seen happen in Afghanistan. And with the polls being so tight between the 2 gubernatorial candidates, it's challenging because, you know, this isn't a situation where you have Democrats that are kind of toying with the idea whether or not they're going to vote for Biden. The issue that Biden is having right now is with independents. It is the independent voters that are causing his numbers to tank. Right. And so we have to look at what do those independent voters in Virginia actually think about Biden, and then we have to try to address that.
All right, well, we'll watch what happens there in Virginia in that gubernatorial race on Tuesday. We thank both of you for your time and your input tonight. Republican National Committee spokesman Paris Dennard and former Democratic Congressional Press Secretary Rochelle Ritchie. Thanks again to both of you.
Thank you.
An international drug bust leads to 150 arrests across nearly a dozen countries in what seems like something out of a James Bond movie. I'm going to ask a former FBI agent about how you pull off an operation like that. And don't forget, you can follow us on social media at the Donlon Report on Twitter. A major victory today in the fight against opioids. 150 people arrested in a dark net drug trafficking operation today. The Justice Department says those suspects engaged in drug trafficking and sold tens of thousands of illicit goods and services across Australia, Bulgaria, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Switzerland, the UK, and the United States.
In the United States alone, this operation seized over 200,000 pills, 90% of which were found to contain counterfeit opioids or other narcotics. To put this in perspective, just 2 milligrams of fentanyl, a size so small it could fit on the tip of a pen, that's considered a deadly dose.
Operation Dark Hunter also resulted in the seizure of weapons, drugs, and more than $31 million in cash and virtual currencies. Joining me now to talk more about this, retired FBI agent and our good friend Bobby Chacon. Bobby, let's start with the numbers here. They're impressive. 150 people arrested, $31 million, 9 countries. How big a deal is this realistically and in practice?
It is a big deal for a number of reasons. Number one, for what it's done to that particular ring, but number two, to send the message to all worldwide rings who are operating, in this new dark web environment, that the government is out there. The government of the United States is committed to working with our international partners in investigating and finding and rooting out these criminals that are taking cover in the dark web.
For people who don't know what that is, Bobby, the dark web, I mean, it's a safe bet we're not going to see knitting groups on there and church groups. But why does it exist, and what exactly is it?
Yeah, the internet has layers and layers and layers of places, if you will, virtual places. The majority of people just are on the internet, the World Wide Web, but the World Wide Web, consists of many, many different layers, many different places that you have to code your way in. You have to know how to find your way into these special and secret places. And technologically, it's beyond me, but from what I understand, these are places that are very difficult to get to, and so you have to have a proficiency level in computer systems to get there, and it makes it all that much harder for law enforcement to kind of get there and root these organizations out.
Right. I mean, it's a 10-month investigation. That gives you an indication of how long this took. But I guess my other question, Bobby, is if they were able to get this with one operation over 10 months, how much more of this is out there?
Well, it's always rolling on. So this 10-month investigation that you talk about resulted from last January, another operation getting taken down. So one operation leads into a next, and I wouldn't be surprised if this particular operation spins off some more, right? Because this spun off from another operation that was taken down last January. And there's 15 different judicial districts in the U.S. alone where charges have been filed in this case. So this is a result of something called the J Code, which is the Joint Criminal Opioid and Darknet Enforcement Team, which is an FBI-led DOJ initiative that brings in all of our international partners and all of our U.S. partners. That's HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, DEA,
right.
Customs Enforcement. Everybody's involved in this. Everybody has to coordinate, because you can imagine coordination on an international global scale is quite a task.
Yeah. Hey, I want to get you, Bobby, before we go on the shooting involving the Alec Baldwin movie. You've been a consultant on a number of TV shows and films, and you were quoted as saying there's no denying Alec Baldwin's role in this. Explain that.
Well, I keep seeing headlines that say, then the gun went off and the gun killed this person. There was a person that pulled the trigger. There was a person whose finger was on the trigger to put enough pressure on that trigger to force the hammer to go, the firing pin to hit the primer and cause that bullet to go off. So the headlines that read, then the gun went off, or a gun that killed so-and-so, it was a person holding that gun that killed that person. And so, there obviously there was a string of mistakes, but everybody that's handed a weapon needs to know it's their responsibility to look down and check whether or not that weapon is loaded or not, regardless of what the person handing it to you told you. So I think there's a lot of blame to go around, but I think there's some, I don't know what criminal penalties might result from any of the people involved in this chain of events. But, I get a little frustrated when I keep seeing reporters, when they use the terminology, the gun went off, killing that person, instead of someone actually shot that person. And so it's really semantics, but if you're going to have it one way for certain people, you have to have it universal across the board. And that gun didn't just go off.
Sure.
The trigger was pulled by a person.
Retired FBI agent Bobby Chacon. Thanks for the time, Bobby. Good to see you.
Sure. Thanks, Joe.
On Balance with Leland Vittert starts at the top of the hour. He joins us now with more on what you're working on.
Well, the genius of men who wear purple ties, white shirts, and blue suits.
Genius?
Genius. True geniuses wear white shirts, purple ties.
I would go more fuchsia on that. Is that?
I was trying to give you a compliment.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but no, we're Inez Cantor, who I know you're a big basketball fan. One of the very few people who was willing to speak out at great personal risk, both physically, because we know what the Chinese do, and then also professionally and what it potentially does to his career and his ability to make money, speaking out against China and also calling out Nike, of all people, for doing business in China. Real moral courage there. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about if finally the NBA is going to force to have a reckoning with how much business it does with China while talking so much about human rights at the same time.
Probably unlikely, I would guess, but we'll hear more at the top of the hour. Leland, thanks very much. Country experienced massive rain and flooding the past couple of days, but tonight's American Snapshot, one national waterfall sprouted back to life. A small business owner realized her dream of owning a charming little baby store in Iowa. She opened it earlier this month and already can't keep products on the shelves. Macy Kroll, owner of 223 Baby in Iowa City, said she ordered items back in July that she still hasn't received. So now she's encouraging people to get their holiday shopping done ASAP before supplies run out. Joining me now for her story is Macy Krall of 223 Baby Company in Iowa City. Macy, let's start with this problem with shipping. You ordered something in July and it still hasn't arrived. What are you doing for product?
Yeah, so there are a lot of materials that we're not able to get in with the port issues and just lack of material out there. So we're waiting on a lot of clothing and parts of toys to come in. We are pretty fully stocked right now. It's just the restocking is what we're having issues with currently.
I'm wondering how brave it must have been to open a store of your dreams last month in the middle of a, waning pandemic, but a pandemic nonetheless, and a supply chain issue.
Yeah, it was a little crazy on our part, but it's been a dream of mine, and I've always wanted to be my own boss, so I just took the jump, and the store was exactly in the location I wanted, so we just jumped on it.
So what are you doing now as far as pricing, as far as product? What are you doing for the holidays? I know you're telling people to get in there early, but it sounds like you may run through what you have quickly.
Yeah, I am just telling everyone to shop early because those last minute Christmas shoppers might not get what they are wanting if they're shopping at the end of, right before Christmas happens. So I'm really just urging people to come in while we all have the stuff currently and just come in and start shopping with us. Right.
At what point do you look back and assess whether this has been a success or maybe not such a great idea at this time?
As of right now, it's going pretty good, and we are very hopeful for the future and just hoping after Christmas, people are still out there shopping and we can get stuff in for next year, and people will still be shopping for birthdays and parties and events and all that. So we are just hoping that everything gets better as time goes on and we get the materials and parts that we need for our toys and keep our doors open.
All right. Well, we wish you all the best. It's a brave venture, and I know it's your dream. So, again, all the best to you. Macy Krall, owner of 223 Baby Company in Iowa City. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
In tonight's American Snapshot, damaging winds and rain causing all kinds of problems across the country the past few days. In California, currently experiencing record-breaking drought and water shortages, got hit with heavy showers and storms from L.A. to the Bay Area. Now just left to clean up the mess. Take a look at that. The Midwest saw severe weather as a tornado ripped through Missouri and southern Illinois. Another tornado spotted in northwest Missouri, one of several that damaged homes and buildings across the area. And across the country in New York City, dropped its travel advisory this afternoon, but the state is still prepared for more flooding and high winds. And the National Weather Service also reporting that Yosemite Valley received at least 5 inches of rain Sunday alone, which put the park under a flash flood warning from Sunday into Monday. But that gets us to our American Snapshot. Yosemite Falls looking great in peak fall form. That's our American Snapshot tonight. And that is our time for tonight as well. Appreciate you being with us. Have a great evening. On Balance with Leland Vittert next.